Good afternoon. Welcome to Evolve Through God. This is week number 2 with our friend Jeff Hambrecht.
Come on.
Come on. I'm excited. I'm excited.
We are. Let's go. We're ready for it. Part 2.
Yeah. Part 2. So, I know we left off last week with your injuries, the way you were able to overcome them. We talked about the races you were running. I don't know, and I think you mentioned it before we jumped on here. I don't know we talked much about the mental transition, right? And then the ministry and then the wanting to carry it forward. So let's start there today.
Yeah, that'd be a great place to start. So when I got to Oklahoma literally all 4 years ago last week. So it was April of 2022. So I rolled into Oklahoma with $21 in my pocket and a van full of clothes and didn't know a single person. And we were fresh on this journey with God had just delivered me the biggest prayer I still probably prayed to the date, which was giving me a second chance to be a dad. And I was able to gain 50-50 custody of my kiddos. But the part of that was I made a deal with him that I also had to start changing my life around. And I had to give up the addictions and everything that I was facing. But also I figured out through this process of getting here that he also was calling me into ministry. Now, I didn't know what that looked like because I shared in the last episode, I didn't go to church. I mean, I probably heard enough sermons on one hand tops before I hit 34. So the fact that he was like, I need you to go out and share and get into ministry specifically for men was something that I was like, yeah, that's not happening. There's no way you're going to catch me in a crowd full of people, inspiring them to have a relationship with God when I don't even know what that looks like right now. So when I first got here, my goal focus was to get sober, stay sober, and start learning what it meant to be a good dad. And so through that, I spent most of my time, because I wasn't competing or anything at the time. I still was battling the hip injury and everything there. So I just spent the first year out here refining all the skills that God needed me to have. So I was opening the Bible for the first time in my life and learning, what does this even look like? And following Bible plans.
Where did you start? Because there are literally people probably listening to this that are like, you just like cracked the Bible open and started reading. Like, where did you actually start?
So I got here, and again, I will tell you, like, reading the Bible and all that is very important. Don't get me wrong, but intimate time with God will give you the direction on where you should go. And so that was something, we'll rewind a little bit. My whole life, I didn't know what it was until I found God, but I always felt like there was points in my life where I'm like, am I crazy? Like I hear this voice in my head and my heart all the time, but like I just chalked it up to just like the inner voice, whatever you want to call it. Well, little did I know is like, since I've been born, I've been able to hear God, but I didn't know that's who it was. So it's like, I would always hear him. And it was like this, again, I chalked it up to, it's just self-talk, whatever it was. And then when I met him in my PT room and one of the gyms I was running, I'm like, oh, that's been God this whole time. So I do have this gift. And I know people out there like, oh, what? I promise you, I just hear him all day long. So I learned how to kind of harness that and be like, okay, God, well, I can hear from you. So like direct me on where I need to go. Like I'm brand new here. I don't even know where to start. So the first thing I did was just kind of find some local churches and try to get dialed in. So as everyone does, church shopping, I guess you'd call it. Checked out a couple spots and landed. I started out at Life Church out here in Oklahoma City. I'm not there anymore. I think it's a really good starter church, but I kind of grew out of that. But I started there because it was really good for beginners, like brand new. And they had something called the Bible app, which I still use to the day, that has like millions of Bible plans in there. So basically I was praying. I'm like, all right, God, well, where do I even start? Because you open the Bible, even you start reading Genesis, you're like, what in the heck is going on? Like, what is this? Who are these people? I don't understand. So I took a little bit different route. And with that Bible app, we're kind of plugging them here, but it is free. So I just found like, what was I struggling with? So I knew I was struggling with addiction. I knew I was struggling with the temptation and lust. And I knew I was struggling with like healing and vulnerability. Like, how do I be more vulnerable? I knew those things are what I really needed to hone in. So I just found Bible plans that followed along with what I was struggling with. So that's the great part about that app was whatever you're struggling with, where it could even be, hey, how do I read the Bible? And there's a plan for that. So that's kind of where I started. And I literally, when I say I knocked out, this is no exaggeration, like 100 Bible plans in a month. Like I was literally being dad and going through these plans and taking notes and just soaking up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was soaking up. And for me, and again, everyone's a little bit different. For me, that was the best way to learn the Bible. Now, granted, it was, each plan had different verses and passages and books. So it was kind of like scattered around. So I maybe wasn't learning it in lineage order, but I was picking up on it, right? Like there's no perfect way to learn who God is and all the stories and everything. So I just started with what related to me. So the first couple of months, I was just learning how to heal and these verses that were coming up and having backgrounds. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, all these people in the Bible are just like me. Okay, so I'm not like weird as I thought, battling addiction and lust and pornography and temptation. I'm like, all these people did. I'm like, okay. So I kind of started to feel a little bit more comfortable. So the first couple of months, that's how I dove into the Bible, I could say. I was going to the church message on Sunday, taking notes, and whatever I was struggling with that week, I picked a plan and I followed through. And it's like, I'm in fitness for my job almost 19 years now. If you sign up for a race or you have a goal, whatever it is, you have a plan to get there. Well, if I need to heal from lust or temptation or addiction or whatever I'm struggling with, I need a plan to get there. So I would follow these plans. But then the kicker, and I'm sure you face this too, is there's a difference between reading and application. So I would read, but I'd also like, okay, I got to start applying this stuff, right? Like I can't be reading about beating addiction or beating this temptation and lust and stuff that I struggle with for most of my life, and then going out to the bars and bringing chicks home every weekend. That doesn't work. So I was like, okay, in order to get rid of these things, I need to remove myself from those areas for now. Like nowadays, I can go out, I shoot pool with my buddies at the bars. Like that stuff doesn't bother me now because I've taken the time and healed from it. But when you're at your most vulnerable, you have to just remove those things and set boundaries. So that's where I started. And that's how God kind of started on me. Now, again, I was on the other end of the spectrum as far as like anger, and I always wanted to get even. Like he literally reshaped my heart, but also kept the things in there that made me. But I had to learn how to harness those things.
What do you think was at that time, looking back at it, starting all of that from new? Clearly you had a willingness. You'd made this deal with God. What do you think was the most influential thing at that point in your life to keep you in the right place?
So honestly, and I still say it to the guys today, the one thing that I've been rooted in since a kid is, and my mom still hones it in today, is if you make a deal, you show up. Like, even if like us, we have a meeting for this podcast, no matter what, you're on my books, I will be here. So when it came to God, it wasn't even a fear thing. I know a lot of time people say, oh, you need to fear God. Now I get that piece, right? Like I look at it as more as I don't want to let him down. Like I have a fear of letting him down. I don't have a fear of like, what is he going to do to me? It's more of like I have the ultimate respect. So I'm like, I don't want to let you down. You gave me all this. So I don't want to let you down. So I made a deal with you. So my discipline is going to now be refocused on I have to get better because you gave me a second chance. And that's still my driving force today. Like that has never changed. And I think, that's why I love owning a fitness and ministry center, because they go such hand in hand, right? I was so disciplined. I played college sports, semi-pro sports, won world championships. Like in order to have that mindset, you have to be disciplined. Well, I'm like, I'm just going to take that same discipline and apply it to God because that actually matters. And in that short period of time, I started to see my life start to change. Relationships, friendships started to change as I was changing. So I was seeing the fruits of my labor pretty quickly when it was applied. I think I'm sure you've heard this. You have a lot of people who's like, oh, I've been suffering forever. I'm a big believer of suffering is self-suffering. If the longer you put stuff off, the more God's going to make you suffer. If you just run at it head on, it probably take you a fraction of the time. So I just had this mindset of if I just run towards God, not walk, run towards him, he's going to speed up this healing process. And then we can get to the good stuff, right? Because that first, and I'm sure you've been there, that first level of refinement coming from the old you, the new year, it's brutal. It's brutal. Like it's not easy. I get it. When I meet with new people, I'm like, listen, I understand. But I promise you, the quicker you run towards God and the more you make the changes, the less the suffering takes. He doesn't want to be up there. I mean, I'm a parent. I have kiddos. if I want them to learn a lesson, I would love to learn it quickly so I don't have to keep punishing you over and over. Like, he's the ultimate parent. He doesn't want you to keep suffering, but he's going to make you suffer till you change. So that in a nutshell is how I kind of approached it was, hey, if I run towards God and I make these changes, even though I don't want to, like, it wasn't for me, it was for him. Like, if I'm doing stuff for me, I would have fell off a long time ago, but I'm like, this guy gave me a second chance. I'm not going to let him down. Now, we battled and we still battle today, like on stuff.
What do you battle about? What do you battle about?
They're good battles, right?
Yeah,
like
it's relevant, right?
Yeah,
because
right. They're good
do.
battles.
So what do you
like,
battle about?
Here, I'll give you an example. So I'm 19 years into the gym business, right? So I know how to grow a gym, like from a worldly money marketing standpoint, very quickly, right? But does that yield the people that God wants me to have? So when I open this ministries and fitness center, even though I'm not from here, I know how to go fill a gym I call the used car salesman way, right? Offer deals, month free, dollar workouts. Like, I know the game. I've been in it. But is that's what, in my mind, a full gym, my ego that I surrender to is like, if I have a full gym, then I'm full. And so when I open this gym, but again, everything I do, I run through God. Because if I do it on my own, that's going to be the end game, and it's not going to work out. So that's the part of me that I battle with him is, hey, I know what I want to do to fill the gym, but I also know your ways are better. So every day, remind me to surrender and let you fill the gym. And so this is a great lesson for the listeners out there, because I think social media likes to portray a certain life, but the reality of what that life looks like most of the time is nothing like what you're seeing. So I like to use my page and be fully transparent. I just posted not too long ago. Our first week, 0 guys. Second week, 0 guys. Third week, 0 guys. And I mean, me and my other business partner were sitting there, Brooks, like, man, this is tough, but actually I'm really excited. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, think about some of the biggest things in the world: Amazon, Google, Facebook. They started with nothing in a garage, and everybody laughed at them. I go, this is a different version of that. I go, but we're just going to keep being patient. We're just going to trust God, even though, like I said, that battle, it's eternal, it's internal, but it's like, I'm now to a point where I don't ever let myself win. God wins every time, but I'm not going to say I don't wake up and go, hey, God.
Do you think he's testing
he tests it all the time. But the thing is, and like I said, this is where I like to be transparent. If you are winning, like in your faith, be proud of yourself. Like, I have found the best way that I've grown so close to God is I'm proud of myself when I surrender to him. And I'm very transparent with my guys. Like, hey guys, I want to fill this gym this way. And I could have 100 guys here probably by next week, but it's not up to me. And so I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when you stay on God's plan. So we battle, but it's like fun battle. It's like banter. I'm like, hey God, I could fill this thing. He's like, don't you do it. And I'm like, okay. I hear you. But like, I think people need to hear that is because they might see someone like me or you who's walked with God for a long time and think all of a sudden one day you wake up and never battle or question when it's it's not the case, right? It's all the time. So week 4 hits. And again, so we have a Bible study. It's actually tonight. After our class on Thursday, we do a workout and a Bible study. So that Thursday, we had a full house. Every chair was full and every piece of equipment was full for our class last Thursday. And it's been that way ever since. Now, full is still like we have 7 or 8 guys, but I mean that from 0 to 8 and not following, like I said, the gimmicky marketing, just genuine. I meet people on the streets.
So how did you see God work? That's what I was going to say. How did you see God working?
So that's what's cool is like the people who had came in, all of them went like the part that I use social media just to be honest about who I am, what my life looks like, who we are as a ministry. And I have a decent following, nothing crazy, but a decent following. And I've just used that because I don't really honestly like social media. I don't do it for me. I do it to share my story because that's my job. Yeah. And I'm like, some people out here, eventually they're going to either get annoyed of all the posts they see of me and block me, or they're going to be like, okay, what is all this about? And that was really the case. They're just people like, hey, I've been seeing it week after week. And every time I log on, I see you again. And finally, I just was like, I got to go see what this is about. And sure enough, there we go. And now we have guys in, and we did a booth at the Oklahoma City Marathon. And in a place where everyone was giving out free stuff, that was cool about our booth is we had nothing for free. We had our shirts that were for sale. We had a prayer bucket that we would pray for you. If you could drop your prayers in, we prayed every single day afterwards. Like we were just ourselves and a crowd of everybody else doing what they thought was. And by the end of it, like I said, we just hosted I think it was 18 or 19 kids from Oklahoma University at a Bible study, and they all came out last Saturday. We had a packed house. So my encouragement to listeners out there is obedience and action and patience will yield the plans that God truly has for you and the perfect timing. Like we all want to rush God's timing. And I think David's a really good example of that in the Bible, how, he got to the top and then he forgot who got him there. And then real quick, there was a downfall. And again, I'm not sitting here throwing shade at him. I still to the point get there where it's like, man, God got me this far. I could take it from here. And I'm like, no. So my biggest advice, I tell my guys this all the time, is you just focus on God and the rest will work out. Like even to the point where I'm a dad, I love my kids, but I don't do it for them. I do everything in my life is centered around God, because I know if it's centered around him, everything else will fall into place. And I know it seems simple, but it is that simple. But what that requires is surrender. You have to surrender who you are each and every day to his plans. And then the byproduct of that is now I have guys in there that I'm not going to say they're never going to leave because life happens and we have to go. But now I have the quality base of guys who aren't going anywhere. Whereas most gyms have a very high turnover rate, where I was like, no, I want the guys that want to be here. And if that's 7 or 8 guys for a while, it's 7 or 8 guys, because eventually this place is going to be full. Like God will fill this place.
Yeah. And what you're offering isn't really the gym.
No, it's not. It's a byproduct. Right?
That just happens to be a community thing that you all have in common that you want to.
Right.
But that is totally a byproduct. I mean, I think you said it so beautifully, and it's something I needed to hear for myself today, right? As I'm starting out my own new adventure, like you do have to be, if you recognize that you are living in your calling and you have received that from God, and you have taken the action steps and sat in stillness long enough to know what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
If you're not patient and you're trying to control it, it's never going to work out.
Nope. I tell people there's probably, not even going to throw a number, countless ideas and plans that God's had for people's lives that never came to fruition because they didn't wait. They weren't patient. And that's why you see these things that are centered around God that are so massive. Like you shared your Pico de Gallo story about the lady before we jumped on. If she doesn't follow those steps, she ain't selling that to Campbell's. It's not happening. No. But patience and obedience and hard work will get you to where you want to go. But we live in a microwave society. I can hit a button and have food at my door before our podcast is over. And that's conditioned us, and especially the youth nowadays, because I didn't grow up with that. I mean, I'm 30, almost 39. We didn't have a lot of instant stuff. So I can be more patient. I can sit in the suck. But nowadays, people are just instant. So it's business, it's your faith walk, it's your prayer life. I want it now. And it's like, that's not how this works. Like I'm sitting in a different place than where I was from you guys last time. I actually just got keys and moved into my new house last week. And that was the first house I've ever owned, ever had.
Congratulations.
And I was homeless 4 years ago. Now, part of the process to get here in that ministry piece we were talking about, kind of coming back around to that, is I moved here and had a pretty decent sized little townhouse. And then God called me backwards, as I called it, to a 1-bedroom apartment for 3 years. Now, most people will look at that as, oh, I'm going backwards. I'm taking a step back. But what God was doing was not only making me a better steward of my finances and allow me to build back up after a divorce. It drained me. I mean, it does. So I had to build all the way back up. So not only be able to build back financially, but he's also was starting to develop appreciation in me. So I grew up with a lot of stuff. Like I said in the first podcast, I don't pretend I came from like the streets. I had everything you can think of as a kid. And it wasn't that I was a brat, but I don't know that I necessarily appreciated the magnitude of everything I had. So when I got here and he slowed my life down and kind of stripped everything away from me and built me back up, now coming home to this house, the things that bring me joy now, compared to what used to bring me joy, I'm joy filled every day. What I mean by that is I used to find joy in big championships or
Mm.
pro sports game, going to pro sports,
Performance.
vacations, like
Mhm.
stuff that's like big events that maybe fill your cup, what, 2 to 3 times a year. Now, the other day, I was just sitting in my backyard in the lawn chair watching my kids throw a ball on a roof and catch it. And that yield me more joy than anything else could have. And I try to tell my guys in the ministry, if you set your level of joy on things that matter, you'll be joyful every single day. If you
Mhm.
set your joy meter on events or big, you know, catastrophic big things, events, vacations, you're going to be empty 95% of your life. But you need
True.
to find joy on a daily basis. So that's what God did to me is, hey, I'm going to strip you all the way down. You're going to live in a 1 bedroom apartment with 2 kids and a husky. And I'm going to teach you to appreciate every single day. So that when I start building you back up, you don't forget where you came from. And I can confidently tell you that was probably the biggest and best thing for my life because I now find joy all day long because it's like the littlest of things like walking into my house. I used to walk into my gym and sleep on the floor. Like when you've been at that low and then God delivers you to what, our society is if you have a new house, new car, you've made it. Well, to me, I'm grateful for what I have, but it doesn't define me. I'll never forget where I came from. So every time I open the door, it's like the most up gratitude because God gave me all this. So he can take it away too,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's also a reminder of, hey, when you follow me, this is what you get. And I think people forget that. I did a sermon at church about a month or two ago about money. And it was really good because it's like, back to your point of when I started, I kept hearing like, well, money is bad, money's evil, all this. And I'm like, man, well, am I not supposed to grind and hustle? Like, I think we all get confused on words in the Bible.
Mhm.
And then and over time I learned it's like, well, God doesn't want you to be broke, but he doesn't want you to just do things for money. But most of his, followers and stuff in the Bible, he wanted to give them all the riches in the world. So it's not
Yeah.
that he doesn't want you to have stuff. He just doesn't want it to be your identity.
Well,
So
in the Bible, the love of money is
the
the
love
root
is
of
the
all.
key.
Yes,
That's the
yes,
love.
it's
And
not
if you,
money. Money is not the
no,
root of all evil. It's
nope,
the love of
love of
money,
money. So
desire of money above all else. That is
above all
really,
else. Amen.
yeah,
And that's what's been cool about my life is though is he took all those things, those identities I had in my life of money, success, competing for X, Y, and Z, they were worldly and stripped them all away and made me basically turn my life fully around and just do everything for him. And in turn was like, okay, now that you get it, here's everything you ever wanted. And
mhm,
when you get it, it's not that you appreciate it more, but also it doesn't fulfill you. Like when I got the keys of the house, that doesn't identify who I am. I'm still going right back to everything I did before. It's
right.
just now I get to come home to a new house and it makes you so grateful. So to all the listeners out there, I'd say for someone like me who is hustling, always go, 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 which I still am, but I have a different focus now of why am I doing all this? Because if you get caught up in doing it for worldly things, you're going to leave empty and you're going to have all the money in the world and have no joy. And I've been there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that full circle is make sure you know why you're living this life. So yeah, God stripped me down, kind of back to like, how do we get there? God stripped me all the way down to zero. And then he started going to work on the ministry side. So he would give me, I started getting opportunities. So I can't remember if I shared it much. I think I shared a little bit about vulnerability and talked about how I spoke at FCA and that was my initial
Yeah.
start. Well, from there, it would he started to be like, hey, I need you no matter how busy you get, how tired you are. I need you to be readily available for me whenever I need you. I'm not going to say I need you 24/7, 365. I'm going to give you time to relax and have fun. But when I need you, I need you. So you need to be on when you know that it's time to be on. So that kind of became part of our deal was I could be at the grocery store and I could be in the checkout line and
Oh
someone
yeah.
starts talking to me and and it's like, oh, I know what this is. Time to lock in. But I'll be honest, there's days where you get there and you're like, man, I do not have the
Yes.
capacity for this right now. But I
Yeah.
also quickly remember, hey, remember where you're at, remember our deal. And so I'm like, okay, I got you. But again, I'm not going to pretend, even though as jacked up as I get about, God and ministry, there aren't days where I'm human. I'm like, dude, I need a breather.
I
but
just
I
feel like
but
I
I
took a
show up.
nap.
But even when I don't want to, though, that's the difference. And maybe that's different to me and probably someone like you. We know we're dialed in with what God has us. So maybe it's a little bit easier for us to be like, okay, even though I don't want to, I'm going to do it anyways. But for the listeners out there who maybe struggle with that, it's like, don't forget who gave you everything you had. So show up for him all the time, even when you don't want to. And I can promise you your life will change.
Well, and also he will allow this space in your life. He will allow it.
Amen.
Time. So you're still going to get time for yourself or those moments where you do get to just go, okay, I need a recharge. Like he recognized that and he's going to use somebody else in those moments. So just power through and recognize if you're not in control of everything, he's going to give you grace.
Everything you need. And so that's kind of how my ministry started, was just, I always joke, I'm like, I feel bad for people who don't get to live the life that I get to live, because it's like the amount of stories I'll hear on a random Wednesday at the grocery store, most people probably never get to hear in their life. Yeah. And I started to realize, like, that's the joy, that's the gift, that's how much God trusts me, is like, I'll go share stuff with people and they're like, I've never even had one of those encounter. And that was just your last week. And I'm like, well, this is what happens, though, when obedience and action come into play. Your life starts to change. And now you get to fulfill that purpose to a point. I was out Saturday with my buddies shooting pool. There's a country bar here in town. They actually have live bull riding, like real bull riding in the bar.
Real bull riding?
Real bull. So there's a section and there's real bull riding, and people can sign up. This is Oklahoma for you. That's from the audience and ride the bull and try to win cash. So we'll go there and just shoot pool, listen to music. It's entertaining. And I, as always, 90% of my wardrobe is the shirts I sell, Jesus is King. So I was wearing them out. And we went and got the pool table from one of the guys, and he saw my shirt. He goes, hey, man, I like your shirt. I'm like, hey, man, we sell them, blah, blah, blah. And then we kind of went out, and then I was playing, and I see him come walking over back again. I'm like, I already know something's coming. I'm going to get interrupted in this pool game. And he comes up and goes, can I ask you a question? I'm like, shoot, what do you got? He goes, if Jesus is so good, how come he makes people suffer? And I'm like, so we went on our, as you've been in this, I'm sure you get asked this question a bunch. Yeah. And I related it to his everyday life. And it turned out that he had been struggling with alcohol addiction since losing custody of his son. And the reason he lost custody of his son, though, was because of his alcohol addiction. So here's the part in ministry where
welcome to the person that looks just like you.
Yeah, so I'm laughing. So I smile, and he's looking at me, why is this guy smiling? Like, bro, this is awesome. Like, been there. So, but what's cool about the ministry piece, and this is the part that God kind of has worked on me. He taught me how to have empathy, but also hold people accountable. Because I work with, it's not that I can't work with everybody, but I work with mainly men. I have a men's ministry. So like with men, they need to be held accountable very harshly sometimes. So I looked at him and I was like, well, let me ask you a question. How long ago was this? This is 2022. He hasn't seen his son since then. Wow. And I go, well, let me ask you a question. What have you done to earn your son back? He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say, you're still addicted to alcohol by the way you're drinking tonight. He goes, yeah, I still have a problem with it. I'm like, well, then you don't want your son back that bad. And he kind of looked at me and I'm like, and he kind of looked at me and that's the gift that God's given me, is like, my ministry is different, right? Like I chase real God, not watered down God.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, I go, what I mean by that is if you really cared about your son, you'd give up that stupid alcohol drink in your hand. I go, and you'd start there. And he goes, well, I've tried in the past to give up, but then I don't get him back. So I start drinking again. I go, that's a you problem again. I go, you will never get your son back. And God is never going to give you your son back until you give up that alcohol. And just remember, every time you take a drink of that alcohol tonight, tomorrow, next week, you're choosing that over your son. So if you really want him back, you'll give it up. And he started crying in the middle of the bar. And I'm like, and my buddies can see it and they know, they've been around me enough. This isn't like out of the ordinary. But that's been the cool part of like ministry and stuff with God, is the more obedient I became, the more opportunities. He's like, to your point, I'm staring at myself from not too long ago. And that was the cool part.
Well, the best part about it is that this man who addresses you in the bar has no idea.
No clue.
Stepping up to his twin, but God's up there going, buddy, I got a night for you coming. You just wait.
But that's what's been so cool about this journey, right? Is like I lived all these years And that was a question I used to ask him, God, a lot. I'm like, why'd you wait? And again, I know the answer. It's rhetorical now. Why did you wait so long to stop me? And it's like, in his eyes, like, brother, I tried. You just didn't listen. You're too resourceful to stop. So I know the answer now, but for the audience purpose, I used to ask that. And then I realized, I'm like, man, he really did let me run around for 34 years and basically gain all this knowledge of the other side of the world. So then when he put me into ministry, you're not going to tell me anything that I have not lived out myself. I mean, it's going to be really rare. And so but that's what's so cool is I love being used by God is even though we can't physically see him in that moment, that guy saw God because no one else could have told him the stuff I'm telling him and make him feel the way that I did. But it's not me, but it's cool to see God meet people in a bar and just be like, hey, this is your problem right in your hand. And then, went on more to be like, he's like, well, how did you, start asking questions. How'd you, I go, see these guys right here? I'm like, my brothers in Christ is how I got past it. I go, notice how none of us have alcohol drinks in our hand. Are we at a bar? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do we look like we're having fun? He goes, honestly, you look like you're having more fun than anybody else. I'm like, exactly. I go, the point is, following God doesn't mean you have to be a nerd, right? Like, that's not what that means. I go, but the difference is, we are actually following God as men, not as boys. So you can keep drinking your alcohol and hanging out. And you're probably going to have a great time. I've been there, done that. I got the t-shirt. But every time you choose to hang out with those guys over there and drink that in your hand, you're another day away from having your son and you're never going to get him back. I go, now, can I promise that you're going to instantly get him back and you quit drinking? Probably not. I go, but if you start to build a foundation and truly chase God and start making money and get a lawyer and try to regain part custody of your son, God will deliver it to you because he delivered it to me. But he's not going to start helping you till you help yourself. So that part of that ministry has just came naturally over time of just showing up and having a heart posture to serve God. And that's
what did he say what did he say when you told him?
So what's cool is, and again, and I told him, and I'm honest with people. Like I said, I'm pretty cut and dry with ministry. I'm like, hey, here's my card. I do a Bible study every Thursday at 7:00. This is the address. I am not going to make you come. As a matter of fact, as soon as we get done with this conversation, my job is not to save you. My job is to spread the seeds. God will water them, but you have to help by watering them yourself. So here's where I'm offering you an olive branch. This is where you should come. And if you come and you show up to this Bible study every week, I can promise you a year from now, you're going to look different. Or you cannot show up and we'll never see each other again. I'm still going to be okay. But at the end of the day, I want you to show up. Here's the information. You know where to find me. And then you go on about your life. And I think that's the tough part about people in ministries. They want to save everyone. And I struggle with that too. It's like, I'm here, I'm on you. No one made me change, right? Like I had to make that decision to change. Yeah. So that's what I had to learn in ministry. And just in general, when you're in faith and you have people who are not in faith, it's like, it's not your job to save them. You spread the seeds, God will water them. And then you go back to your life. Because if you're not careful, you'll get very depressed and very down by the amount of people that don't show up.
Well, but at the end of the day, I think it's really important for you to remember that in those moments, your role is to act as God would, which is he's going to love that guy. He's going to love on him. He's going to take that guy, regardless of the decision the guy makes. And God's not going to take it personal. He's just like, I gave you free will. It's your choice.
And I love that piece, right? The free will piece.
And I'm here whenever you're ready.
Yep. So here's my contact.
You're have to take that same exact all right, bro, I'm here whenever you're ready.
I'm here. Yeah. And that's what at the end of the conversation, he said something. And again, it doesn't sting me anymore because I'm used to it. He goes, man, if everybody at church was like you, I would have gone a long time ago. And I get that sentence, right? Because we know we live in a society where we're just going to say it. Church is kind of full of most judgmental people. So I like what you said there, and that's good for the listeners to hear is how would God treat people? Because when he was telling me all this stuff, granted, I've walked through it, so who am I to judge? But like my face didn't change. My body language didn't change. Like I don't judge anybody. You can tell me anything you've done, and it's not my job to condemn you. If I didn't have grace, I ain't here. So who am I to throw stones living in a glass house? So that's what's been so cool about ministry is, hey, I'll do everything I can, but I can't make you walk through the door. That's that free will piece. So that's kind of how my ministry started, was just God combined. I was always good at motivating people being in fitness. But he combined that with, all right, now let's learn the faith side. Let's learn about the Bible. Let's learn who I am and how to talk to people. And then from there, that's how it started. The big breakthrough moment for my ministry, though, was in August of 2025. I had healed from most of my stuff, and I thought I had healed from everything. Mm-hmm. And I just always felt, though, like when I was going back to Iowa, which is where I'm from, I'd go visit these places and go around, and just small little like stings of regret, which still sitting there. And I think this is important for listeners to heal. Sometimes you might think you're healed, but if you're truly healed, you will never have the what if thoughts when you're going to the old places you used to be. And I kept thinking, oh man, I didn't really think of it, didn't think much of it. And then finally, one day after I dropped my daughter off from school for her first day of school, their mom had written me a note. She was getting remarried, but she had written me a note saying how proud of me that she was, all the changes we made, how I'll always just be there. It's just me and them, mom and dad, like a great note you want to get. But I also felt like some sting in there of like, man, I'm hearing all this stuff and I should be really happy. And I am happy, but I'm like, why do I not feel like I have closure and moving forward? Like I'm hanging on to something. And so I'm like, I need to go home and run. So running, I don't like to run. I like what running brings me.
Well,
so,
you're mostly broken. So I'm sure running is not very
yeah. So I'm like, you know what? But I run a lot, and it's not because I like running. I like what it brings. It really brings me close to God. So I'm like, I'm going to go home and I'm just going to take off running. And I called my mom. I go, hey, I just feel like I need to come home, and Iowa's my safe spot. Like I know all the trails. I know I can go forever. I can run across the state if I need to on trails. I go, I'm going to come home this weekend and I'm going to run tomorrow. This was a Thursday on Friday. And I go, I don't know when I'm going to be back, but I'll be back by the end of the night. I need to go. I need to close off this last piece of my life before God will deliver me this ministry. Like I felt like it was there, but he hadn't delivered it. And he's like, you still holding on to stuff. And I'd be like, no, I'm not. He's like, but yeah, you are. And it's like this back and forth, right? We're like, no, I'm good. So I took off on a run. I'll never forget, it was August, I think it was 15th. It was a Friday. And I just took off running. And I'm like, I'm going to run. And I'm not coming back until I've let everything at God's feet and I'm fully healed. And by the time I get back, I'm be brand new. So I ran about 12 and a half miles out. So I got to get back. So I ran 12 and a half miles out and yelling, crying, screaming, happy, sad. I mean, every emotion you can go through, but it was just like, I released everything. And I got 12 and a half miles and he stopped me and goes, there. You're good. You finally let it all out. You finally laid everything at my feet. I can tell you, trust me, now you can turn around. And when you get back, you're going to never feel like you did today. So now I have to run back. So I ended up doing 25 miles that day. And by the time I got back, I filed my LLC for my men's ministry and had it in my hands the next day. And ever since then, we've been taken off, and I've never looked back since. Never had an ounce of regret,
that was
shame.
August last year.
That was August of last year. And like I said, I applied for the LLC and in hand the next day was that. And that's how I finally fully got into ministry now. So it's like, I tell people too, sometimes if you're waiting on something to be delivered, chances are there's probably something in your life you're hanging on to and you might not even know it. So that was for me, it was like, man, I feel like I've healed and I'm this new person, but I hadn't let go of some of that little bit of past regret. And so that was the last bit of it. And ever since then, I've felt completely different. And the amount of people I've encountered I encountered a lot of people before that, but now it's like on steroids, the amount of people that come in. I had my internet hooked up yesterday. And the guy, Andre, hope he shows up to Bible study today, gave him my card and a sweatshirt. But he was talking because we were sitting there and he was finishing up and he goes, hey man, you're in shape. Like, what do you do? And I told him. And I'm like, yeah, I just moved into this house. Like, I was in a 1-bedroom for like 3 years after I got divorced. And he stopped drilling and he looked up. He goes, I've been divorced for 4 years and I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment. And I'm like, here we go. All right. So it's like that. And I know you know this because I'm sure you get all these encounters. I mean, by our conversation, I can tell people have those gifts, but it's like, I didn't start out any different than anybody else. The only thing I did was combine obedience and action. And now people just get thrown in front of me. But again, wrap around back to that point of wanting to fill the gym. Every day that I've surrendered everything to God, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put out the gimmicks I'm going to let you bring. People have just been, again, Cox Internet guy. Hopefully he shows up tonight. I get random messages from people. I have no clue who they are. Hey, do you have that class tonight? Yeah, I'll be there. No clue who they are in Oklahoma City. So it's like, that's what's great. So for listeners out there, I know we've kind of gone in and out, but if I can, biggest piece of advice is obedience combined with action will take you exactly where God needs to go, with that last piece being patience. You gotta have patience. It's hard, and I struggle with it. It's my number one thing. Like, I surrender patience to God every day. I will never pretend like I don't, but I always leave it at his feet every day. I'm not a patient guy, like, especially in things that I can't control, like fitness wise. I mean, he takes care of my healing and stuff. But like, if I train for something and go do a workout, like, I know what's going to happen right there. Like, I control how fast, how slow, if I win or not, because I have the fitness to win. So it's a matter of fact of, do I want to push hard enough to win? So they're instant results. Whereas stuff with him is like, no, you're just going to be on my timeline. I'm like, I'm good with that. But it's more joyful. God's waiting room has become more joyful with me, where a lot of people I feel like I've encountered recently don't like to be in the waiting room. They don't like to wait.
No.
They don't like to wait.
Well, they're used to control. I mean, if you think
hit that right on the head. Yeah.
Everybody in our society is so used to controlling everything that's why they have no patience.
They you're
think
right.
They can affect change on it, and they can affect change in their
certain
way.
Point. Yeah.
But God can give you something way greater.
Oh,
I mean, the call I just got off of, amazing woman. She's going to be a guest on the podcast.
Can't wait to hear it.
You and I talked about her, and one of the things that she does in her conversations with God is she says, "Here's what I want, God, or something better."
Love that.
God can always give you something better.
Yeah.
Don't limit him. Don't limit him either.
No. Yeah. Luke 1:37. For nothing's impossible with God. And I think that's why I love that we talked about before, is people limit God all the time. If I limited God, my story's going to stink. Right. Like, my testimony's not going to be what even
you're
the guy
still be that guy in the bar.
Oh,
you limit God, you'll still be the guy in the bar.
Oh, big time, limping around, chasing stuff that doesn't matter. But even the guy here was like, I just had rattled off a couple things. He goes, "You do have a wild story." I'm like, yeah, it's pretty wild. I go, it's pretty wild, but like, at the same time, the one thing, and that's what I mean, I would, during those Bible plans, I would always read over and over in multiple different ways. Nothing's impossible, God. Don't limit God. God does miracles. And I'm like, well, if I'm reading, I'm just going to believe it. I think that's where people separate. You see these miracle stories or comebacks, or like the lady with the Pico de Gallo. I just watched the Ben Carr story. I don't know if you've seen him.
I've met Ben Carr. I've met Ben Carr.
Yeah, dude. Yes. Oh, I would love.
He's a great. He went with us at James Lawrence's event. That's where I met Ben.
Okay, so I mean, but when I was watching the story, I wasn't, again, and I know people watch it and they see the inspiration, like but the thing is, I feel like with inspiration that fades. When I was watching this story, I probably looked at it different than most people, because I'm watching and going, I know what that takes, because I've been there in a different capacity. Our stories are different, same, but different. I know what it takes to wake up every morning and have people laugh at you in a different capacity, and still go at your goal 100% and trust God over and over and over. And what I loved about his story was, I feel like so many people think you reach the mountaintop, you never slip off. The common theme in his story was he would get somewhere and then get knocked all the way down, but he never stopped getting up. And that's what I've been telling my guys in my last current sermon series. If you do not quit, you will win. There is no other way around it. Like his story, other stories, the James Lawrence, those guys just don't quit. If you don't quit, God's got you. But I loved his story, and I just watched it. And even my kids like, "Dad, are you crying?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm crying." I go, because in a different capacity, I know exactly what he's feeling. And for him to just keep going and going, I'm like, this freaking guy is awesome. And he's a
beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, like I said, another guy, some of these guys I would like to meet sometime and just sit down and just ask some simple questions. Because it's like, I mean, you could probably know why they kept going, but like, what really kept, I mean, God keeps us going. We know that, right? But it's like, we all find different sources, I feel like, of God keeping us going. Like for him, no one would have blamed him if he quit. He got dealt a bad hand from getting born. He had nothing to prove. But I love to hear the more in depth of like, what was God saying to you in those moments? Like, why did he want you to keep going?
Yeah.
So that's
Well, look,
never
for you, think about it this way. If you don't keep going, you don't change the life of the guy in that bar.
the bar. Yeah. And that's just one
That's your
example,
constant
right?
reminder
Yeah.
every
And
single
that's,
day.
oh, 100%. I love that you brought
Mhm.
that up because I do get asked, they're like, well, why do you keep going? And I mean, I do answer, like, well, I focus on God. Everything I do is for God. Like, they're like, yeah, but what does that mean? I'm like, thank you for asking that, not just accepting that answer because I want you to ask
Yeah.
more. And I do tell them, I go, if I don't keep going, my son becomes an addict. My buddy becomes an addict. My buddy's son becomes an addict. Some guy that's drilling into my wall for Cox Mobile gives up on hope because he doesn't get to hear. So it's like, if I'm doing this for myself, I'll stop tomorrow, today. It's
Yeah.
not about me. It's about
Yeah.
all the people that we can impact. And that all goes back and ties everything we started on is in the Bible, what's it called us to do? Be selfless. So serving others. So if you live to serve others, you're going to constantly have some pursuit because this world is not lacking people that need to be inspired and need just to hear a
Yes.
little bit of hope. Like I said, God lives in all of us. So, like when people always say, well, I can't see God, I always argue back. I'm like, you just did. I just talked to you. I'm not God, but he's flowing through me. So I'm going to argue back. You have seen him. You've probably seen him millions of times in your life. You just didn't chalk it up because it wasn't like a physical portrait of what you think God looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good. Like
love it.
I think that, what I love most is that if you ask anybody on the street what
Mm-hmm.
they want to do with their life, the majority of people will say to you, I want to help other people.
Yes.
But they
Amen.
don't recognize that desire to help other people is the gift that God gave us
Mm-hmm.
as one entity. We're
One
all
entity.
a piece of him. We all have
Mm-hmm.
him in us. That
All
desire
of
to help other people is that desire to connect from spirit to spirit. And most people don't understand that that's what that desire to help is. So anytime anybody asks me that anymore, I'm like, well, you have an opportunity to help everybody you encounter.
mm-hmm.
You just
Everyone.
have
Yeah.
to be present and allow. That's it.
And the flip side of that too is everyone wants to help other people until it comes time to help other people over yourself. We all
True.
choose ourselves. We
True.
like to choose ourselves first. I'm
Mhm.
tired. I don't want to go there. I
Mhm.
don't have the time. It's like, well, now you're missing the point. Do you really want to help people or do you want to help people when it's convenient? Because
Right.
that's not helping people. Helping people is when you have nothing left
Yeah.
and it's inconvenient, you still help them. So yeah, you're right. Like I truly believe everyone wants to help everyone, but they don't want to surrender to that selfish desire. And I'm naturally selfish. I'm not naturally a serving person, but that's what's cool about God is he's changed me into every day. Hey, I need you to go out. I need you to serve. I need you to share. And in turn, you're going to be joyful all day because you get to see people's mind shift. You see a guy in a bar cry who's probably been holding on to that
Oh
for
yeah.
4 years, and only you can get to him. And that's why when I encounter people who don't really believe in God or don't have a relationship, I'm like, man, I can tell you one story. There's no way you can argue that's not God. That you can say coincidence, and there's no way. Like the
Yeah.
fact that I was at that bar at that time and that place, and I decided to wear that shirt when I could have worn another shirt to go out in. None of that happened. So everything is intricately
All
designed by
orchestrated.
God.
All
Oh yeah, so
orchestrated.
that's very cool. And like I said, I've loved listening to your listeners on here. I can't wait to hear more of them. But
Yeah. So
yes, I appreciate you having me on too.
good. You know what? I'm excited. I'm excited to watch you grow the ministry,
Oh yeah.
see the lives that you're touching. I love that you are spending time with the youth also and
Mm-hmm.
being on campuses too, because I feel like in my own kids, I've seen it. I feel like there's definitely an awakening there with
Mm-hmm.
kids in this generation that are seeking and that are looking for that and want the help and stewardship of those of us who've been
Mm-hmm.
there and seen it ourselves. So I love that you're doing that work. I have another friend of mine in Texas who also sells her, she's got her own female line through a salon.
Oh,
And
cool.
her
Okay.
stuff also is Jesus is King and you're
Awesome.
and based off of You're Enough. So I definitely want to introduce the two of you.
Yeah.
She was a season one guest. So Dawn Thompson, she's amazing and so yeah, I mean
That's very cool.
the more of
The
us out
more
there in the world that can
more we can
go,
get connected.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
before we get off too, for as far as the youth go, the one thing there is they're very hungry right now, and you can see that. But the biggest thing I believe that they're lacking is something that we had from the earlier generation is the discipline part
Yeah.
of it. Like they're hungry, but I don't think enough people are real with them and tell them, hey, like this is not an easy road. It's fruitful, but it's not easy. Like you want to follow God until it becomes so tough that you don't even know if you can get out of bed, and then you turn the other way. So it's
Right.
like and I'll use this example, and then we'll let you go. As the leader of this ministry at the came in, and we did a partner workout. So anytime I get big groups, I do partner workouts, and part of the partner workout is when you run, you have to carry a 25-pound ball, and it's a 400-meter run, and one carries it out, one carries it back, and there's other stuff in between. But what that represents is your burdens. And when you hand the ball off at 200 meters, all of a sudden you become really lighter. So that's what I tell them is during this workout, you're going to feel how much lighter you become when you pass your burdens on to your brothers. So that's
Love that.
part of the workout. But during the workout, their leader was walking in the workout. And I kind of got on him a little bit, gave him a hard time. Like, you better not be walking. So we got done. And again, this isn't a call out to embarrass him. We got done. I like to debrief. What'd you learn from the workout? What was harder than you thought? And I looked at him and I go, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm like, why'd you walk during that workout? It's like, oh, I was pacing. I'm like, pacing for what? You knew the workout's 35 minutes long. You knew the ending. Like, you just got to make it 35 minutes. So let me ask you again, why'd you walk? I guess I got hard. I'm like, well, I'm going to tell you two things right now. First of all, you never walk, you run towards God. So don't you be pacing anymore. I go, second,
Mhm.
all 16 of these guys in the room saw you walk today. So if you're going to be a leader and you want to be a leader, especially in the youth, you better be leading by example. So no matter how tired you are, no matter how much you got going on, you better not show them that you're going to be walking and give up. And afterwards, he came up to me and he was a little teary eyed. He goes, no one talks to me like that. And I'm like, I go, I know you already know this, so I don't have to say it. I go, I'm not coming down on you, but I'm letting you know that leadership isn't for everybody. And so if you're called into leadership, this is what this requires. And I'm not discouraging you away from it. I'm challenging you moving forward that if you're going to be a leader, because a lot of people want to lead, especially in the youth, but one slip up like a walk or something like that can lose a lot of people that might be following you. So us as leaders, I think a lot of people, especially, and I that's where I work with God too, is because there is plenty of
Oh
days where
yeah.
I'm
Oh
exhausted.
yeah.
But I tell people because they'll say, I want to lead like you. And I am always honest because me, I go, do you really? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, this is what it requires. And I'll spit stuff out. I go, being a leader isn't for everyone. Everyone wants to be a leader until it comes time to
Mhm.
actually lead. So my advice for people out there is if you're parents or if you want to get into leadership, you need to lead by example. And you have to be that example every single day. Now you can show your kids that you can fall short and get grace. Like I get all that part. So I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but just remember that with leadership comes a great responsibility. And it from Genesis, when Adam let Eve take a bite of the apple, he was standing right next to her. That's on
Yep.
him. He
Yep.
failed in leadership, but he was created to work and be a leader, and he fell short when it came time to lead. So I just like to be transparent with people too, especially in the youth, because they're the most vulnerable too. Is if you're going to lead, you better be dialed in on what kind of leader God wants you to be.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. That's
So that's
good.
my send off for today is if you're
So,
going to be a
so
leader,
good.
lead.
So good. Well, do you have anything else you would like to add today before we
I
sign
just
off?
appreciate, like I said, I appreciate all you guys listening. And like I said, those three key points I can't stress enough, which is obedience, actions, and patience. That'll carry you. Those
So
three things
good.
will carry you towards God's plan. And you can go from a homeless addict to running a men's fitness ministry center. It's possible.
To wherever God
To
takes you
wherever that,
next.
I know,
To
like I said,
something more. Because we know
I
something
know,
more is
oh,
gonna
I
happen.
know. I've seen, again, God's given me all the vision. I know that part of my story is being on stages all over the world someday sharing. Like, I know the ministry and fitness center is just a smidget. Like, I know the vision he's got, but that's can sometimes be the hardest part is he's already given me all of it. But it's also that patience piece of, well, I'm ready now. And he's like, you think you are, but chill out. But it's like, that's also, I think, part of the problem with people is God shows you everything you're going to do. But the reason you don't get there is because of patience. So it's like, I know the men's fitness ministry is such, or doubt or whatever.
Trust.
And we all struggle. I think mine is the patience piece is because it's like, I want to be helping thousands, if not millions of guys all over the world someday. But it's like right now, it's the 7 or 8 that I got in my ministry. And from there, one step at a time. So no, I know he's got some big plans and I can't wait to carry him out.
Well, I'm excited. And I'm sure that as you grow, we'll have you back and give us some updates.
Hey, we'll be ready.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so good. Well, Jeff, thank you very much.
Yes.
We're going to get this up and going. Anybody who wants to purchase a shirt or a sweatshirt, that's going to be up in the show notes too. So people can grab a Jesus is King shirt or sweatshirt. And do that. Yes. And if you're in the Oklahoma City area, they can definitely hit up
Come see us
too. Yeah. So
Come
good.
see us.
So good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everybody for listening to Evolve Through God. We'll catch you on the next episode.